No trespassing.
Okay, so that's private property.
No, on the other side. Oh, there's a lot of space.
Good afternoon, sir.
Pikwa Kanagan, Golden Lake.
Pikwa Kanagan. Malayo ba? I don't think so.
We have to sign up.
Everybody's making their way over. So my name is Delaney. I'll be your tour guide today. We're going to be above ground for about 15 to 20 minutes, talking about some fossils and then a little bit about the area. But for the most part, we'll be underground. I'll start by collecting everybody's tickets. If you guys have those, take them. Thank you. Now, brachiopod actually is two Latin words combined, meaning arm and foot. Seems like a very silly name, but geologists named these creatures based off how they would move in the water. So these little brachiopods would open their clam-like shell and stick out a little arm. Now they would use this arm to push themselves very slowly along the ocean floor, just through the sand, or grab any small bacteria that would come their way. Now we have to keep in mind these brachiopods were very, very small, as you can see in this fossil, which makes sense as they were filter feeders. Now filter feeders are different from all these other creatures, as they were creatures that name was Tom Woodruff. Now you guys are going to hear that name a lot more through the tour, just because the story is all about him. He's the first one to discover the caves and then start this business. But like we know now, he knew that limestone formed in straight layers. And if you take a good look at this, you can clearly see that is not that way. so he knew something had to be enclosed in all this rock, but he didn't know how to get it open. So Tom then used a technique that we like to call redneck paleontology, which is basically just repeatedly smashing a rock against the wall until it smashes open and reveals what's inside. And once Tom did this, it showed us this really cool curly shelled cephalopod. So I'll pass this around and you guys can check that out. Now even when these cephalopods were fully curled, they still were about the size of this table right here, so still pretty big, and even more of an apex predator, just considering they were so much quicker in the water. So definitely cool creatures. Now that piece, along with these two in the corner, are only very small portions of the cephalopod, just because cut, which makes sense as this creature is a lot like a snail. So this guy right here. Now this one is probably the most similar to ones we could recognize today. It really only had two differences. And that was, rather than having a smooth circular shell, it had quite a pointy one, as you can see in this photo, along with in this fossil. And then rather being quite small, these gastropods could get to the size of about a large dinner plate if given the time to. So pretty cool. Now gastropods are very common in the area just because they were one of the smaller creatures of the Ordovician time period, so lots of them were able to fossilize in smaller places. Along with the fact that these guys often lived together, which meant when they died there'd be about hundreds of them all in one place. So I'll pass this around and you guys can check this one out.
Oh, udah shell.
Shell.
Parang susok niya. Snake lang eh.
Pasa ka rin.
And then just as you guys pass around the gastropod, move on to our last piece, which is going to be this one right here. Now this one is not on the board behind you here, so you guys are just going to have to guess. So does anybody have any ideas what this could be a fossil of? A plant? Good guess. Good guess. Carl, that's a good guess. Seaweed. Does anybody have any ideas other than a plant? Or are kind of stuck on that? Yeah? So this one, once we found it on our property just behind us, we honestly thought it was some sort of plant too, as it does look identical to it. And once we further got into this and started showing it on a tour, it is more of a 2D shape or imprint rather than 3D and popping out like this one is here. But other than this, the geologist didn't really know what it was, so we sent it off to the Museum of Nature in Ottawa. There they ran a few tests for us and then sent this piece back a couple weeks later. They told us what we have here is a trace fossil. Now a trace fossil is a super cool fossil that is basically just evidence that a creature from an Ordovician time period would have been here at some point in time. So these are kind of like its former trails or tracks. For this piece in particular, we're thinking a worm-like creature would have burrowed its way through the sand, creating all these different tunnels, kind of just conveniently in the shape of a plant, making it look like that. And then after this worm would have died off or went away, all these different tunnels here would have got filled in with sand and mud, over time hardening. And you want to follow me just over there. Our trails are really well kept. There's really no reason to walk them, so stay on those and they're probably fine. And as we're heading down into the cave, there is a few stairs and they are pretty steep. So take your time, everyone. There's no rush. Hold on to the railing. Be careful. We don't want anyone getting hurt. And once we We're getting most of us down here. We'll try and push it a little bit more just so everybody can kind of hear me. We have some more space over here. Perfect. I think we have pretty much everybody. So welcome officially underground into the first room of our cave. Now, like I said, the rooms do get bigger from here on, so we won't be this cramped for this long. But this is the first room that Tom and I came to after we jumped into the sinkhole just over the hill, and that was brought into this tunnel just across from here. Now, at the time, Tom would have been walking through about ankle-deep water till he reached this point where we were all standing. Now, this is where Tom encountered his first of 3 whirlpools. Now, I'm going to...
Oops, okay.
Perfect. I think that's most of us now. So welcome to these stalactites room, or some you may call it drip column. Now if you know what they are, you will know that they're these really bulky things all along the ceiling here, so super cool. Now stalactites are found all throughout our cave, different sizes of them, some make them different shapes, just based on how they grow and position themselves on the wall. Now stalactites, one cool thing about them is that they are actually growing, which is why we'll try our best not to touch them. You guys can't touch the walls and everything like that. It's your sense of stalactite, and I basically just need you to check if anything's inside. I'm 99.9% sure you should be fine. But yeah.
99. 1%. Okay.
So are you here? Yeah? Yes? Anybody else want to touch? Oh, don't touch it. Touch it.
I got goosebumps. I have goosebumps. Oh, it's okay. It's a very small creature. But still.
Ano ba? Yeah. Nami, no? Yagi mo kali mga pasil.
Like right here.
That's a free food.
I won't be able to fit more than there.
Oh. Yeah, sure.
Oh, seriously? I don't think so.
I think that's the quickest I've ever seen somebody go through that.
Oh, really?
That was pretty
I'm just gonna say one to the king. One in.
Mom, he's back. Hey, yo, it's back. He's thinking a lot of
Got what?
I think that's everybody again. Yeah, most of us. Perfect. Okay. So welcome to our bat tunnel. I'm sure you have a few ideas why it is called that. Because this is probably where the most.
Problem is bats, y'all have bats using a lot of
Got what?
I think that's everybody again. Yeah, and flying around it. Don't think Tom had a great time, but he did actually say this was not the scariest thing. But in fact, the scariest thing was the sound he heard coming around the corner. Dun dun dun. Hey, what's it? The cave.
That's loads right hill.
Yeah, there's one all the way up there. Rock bottom, you can only go up, so that's what I was thinking there. I think it'd be a pretty cool but interesting spot to get married. Now the reason this room is so very big is because of the sound that Tom heard that was scarier than 300 angry bats. Now don't worry, this wasn't the cave monster, he's in the other part of the cave. This was just the second and largest whirlpool. But just to show you how strong this one really was.
Ha? Klaro, nagtulong to sa ano.
Dapat ito berlebat eh.
Berarti, wala mo ba eh? Wala ka ba pagkuha tanaw kira? Kasi wala pagkuha. Ha? Bisa?
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you very
I'm glad
much.
you guys enjoyed.
We enjoy really. Where are you going? You can have photo. Thank you so much. It's a nice experience for us.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Okay.